Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, what's going on in our country, and how we're going to fix both of them together. Now, the content that I'm going to show you right now should end the gun control debate and the incessant attack on our rights forever. Because what we've been saying for decades, you and I working together to push freedom for our Second Amendment for this and the next generation, was just aired for millions upon millions of people on the Joe Rogan podcast in a conversation between Joe and JD Vance. This is something you need to see and send this one out because this literally puts all the nails in the coffin. There are no questions. This is going to be something you're going to want to send. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you want to join us in our quest to spread freedom from coast to coast, to border, and thank you in advance for that consideration. And this content is made possible by our returning sponsor, Ground.News. I'm going to say a quick word, and then we're going to hit this interview. Guys, I'm excited to welcome back to the channel one of my favorite sponsors, Ground.News. And you can find out all about this at ground.news/Langley. But one of the reasons they're my favorite sponsors is because they genuinely help with the mission of this channel. They show you the bias, the distribution, who owns the information that you're consuming. It cuts through all of the BS to give us a true picture of what's actually happening. Now, if you look on the homepage right here through the Vantage subscription, which is what I'm logged into, you can see the election news on the right. You can see the main articles that are featured in the middle. But this one we covered earlier today, top left on the daily briefing, Trump's Cheney comments. Now look at this. We covered this, but look at the distribution. The left is responding a lot bigger than the right, with the middle making up the middle, which is ironic because that's what they are. 201 articles from the 60 original. You can see it right there. Then if you go down here, it shows you the actual bias distribution. Guys, this is one of those tools that is so applicable for what we do, and it's something that you can get for 50% off with a link in the description box below, the Vantage subscription. This is something that I think you will find value from, and thank you to them for making this content possible. Check it out. All right, everybody, let's get into this because I'm not trying to bury the lead here. This is one of the absolute best conversations that I've heard in a public mainstream forum around how gun control is a flawed premise and gun rights are the way forward that I've heard in a long time. All right, let's get into this. And now here's my disclaimer, just as for the YouTube people. Joe Rogan is about to espouse some beliefs around some medication that he believes are attributed to instances of tragedy. These are his beliefs. The only reason I'm including it is because it's necessary for the building of the point that they're about to have. This is not my beliefs. I can't touch that. I know I can't. It's Joe's thing, but it's important for the conversation, and it'll all be linked, of course. Let's hit it.
Okay, it's good.
I've heard it's good. Yeah, I haven't read it, though.
So the mental health thing in the United States is really worrisome because, you know, when I talk about, obviously we have a big gun violence problem in the United States of America, and I talk about mental health because obviously that's a part of what's going on here. It's what they say is, well, every other country has mental health, meaning advocates of strict gun laws say every other country has mental health problems, but they don't have the same gun violence problem that we do. It's actually not totally true. If you look at like SSRI prescriptions, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, it's like Prozac, that category of mental health therapeutics. We take something like 6 times as much as our peer countries economically. So clearly there's something with mental health treatment in the United States that is very broken.
There's also a direct correlation between school shooters, mass shooters, and SSRIs.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the part, YouTube moderators, where Joe Rogan is expressing his beliefs, not mine, just saying. All I'm saying is reporting because it's important to the conversation. But it is an interesting point that we are overly medicated in this country compared to our peer nations. You know how the gun controllers really like to reference the fact that our peer nations don't have any issues and they're the utopia and we're the bad ones because we have gun rights and freedom and stuff. You know, that. There's some other disparities we can talk about. Let's keep going.
Oh, yeah. Most of the people that have committed mass shootings, and not talking about gang shootings, but a bunch of them are on psychotropic drugs. And everybody wants to blame drugs.
I had no idea. Man.
Oh, yeah. Like,
that's crazy.
Google it because you can find out what the numbers. I know the Columbine kids were on psychotropic drugs. I know there's been a ton of school shooters.
Like prescribed?
Yes.
You're talking about like smoking weed.
No. Prescribed psychotropic drugs. Prescribed psychiatric drugs. And that if you bring that up, you are taking away from this argument they want to say where they want to blame everything on the guns. It's all about gun control, and we need more gun control. Like, a gun is a tool. There's more guns in this country than there are human beings. Okay?
I made this.
The gun is a tool. Where you heard that before? Every single 2A advocate channel out there? The gun is a tool. It is a manifestation of the person's intent who is holding said tool. We don't have a problem in this country of the inanimate objects that are in our hands. We have a problem in this country what's in our hearts and our minds, which is allowing us to make the poor moral decisions to utilize a tool in our hands in a negative manner. Now again, YouTube, I would like to bring your attention to the fact that the clip that I'm actually referencing here, before I get in trouble for mentioning or having Joe mention that, it's on YouTube. Right there. Just want to let you know. But it's an interesting correlation between the drug usage in the nation and the issue of what they're talking about. But now we're going to pivot away from the actual drugs, and we're going to go to something else that we've been talking about for a while. This stuff is key and pivotal and so important for you guys to share. Let's keep trucking.
At the debate. The idea that you can gun regulate your way out of this problem is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
We have so many firearms in the United States of America that even if I bought into the gun control argument, you're never going to be able to get sufficient guns off the streets.
Right.
So it's ridiculous. So we have to actually go after some of the root causes here. It also ignores, like Finland, for example, has a lot of guns, does not have nearly the same problem with these mass shooters that we do. I'd be interested to see what their mental health drug usage rate is too.
Did you ever see Ted Nugent debate Piers Morgan on gun violence?
No, I never did. I thought it was pretty good.
It's really good.
Ted's a smart guy.
He's a very smart guy. But Ted actually knows the statistics. So when Pierce was bringing up all the mass shootings and all the gun violence shootings, Ted said, do you know what they really are? Do you know how many of them are suicide? Do you know how many of them are gang violence? Do you know how many of them are cops shooting bad guys? Do you know how many of them are actually mass shooters?
Yeah, but I did know that actually.
Okay, so I'm gonna splice this up real quick. Do you understand how important it is what Joe Rogan just said? He just called into question every single gun controller across the internet. Because every time for gun safety, Moms Demand Action, March for Our Lives, they never tell you the data. They always tell you emotional points of focus. They never tell you the data that's actually driving their numbers. For example, they'll throw out the number that says 48,000 to 42,000 people per year die to gun violence in the United States. While that's tragic, and I don't want that to happen, they frame it from a standpoint of the guns are just killing everybody. But what they don't tell you is about 2 out of 3 of those are suicides. To Joe's point, they don't tell you that the other 1/3 are actual homicides that are related to organized crime and gang activity. They don't tell you those things either, but because it's an important point to get to their end means of getting more gun control. They're lying to manipulate to get their end that they want. That's the entire point. And the power that Joe Rogan has to just say, have you even seen the data? Look at Ted Nugent's debate with Piers Morgan. He blew him out of the water because he knew all the data. It's emotional versus factual. You can't ignore the emotion, but you can't also ignore the factual. This is really key. Let's keep going because JD Vance comes back with something pretty slick here.
When we talk about gun violence problem, what we're really talking about primarily is gang violence.
Yes.
Right. That's where a lot of the gun violence, I think a majority of the gun violence is coming from, which is not to say it's not a problem.
Right.
But it's not the same problem that obviously gathers most of the headlines.
Right, and this idea that just getting guns out of people's hands. You got to bail?
We're good. I'm good if you are.
The idea that you're going to take guns away from everyone, you're going to solve the problem. It's like, no, you're still going to have people that are out of their mind and they want to commit violence and they're going to find another way to do it. Like we've had other ways that people have killed a lot of people because they were sick.
Yeah.
Because they're out of their mind.
That's right.
And the fact that no one wants to look at this connection between psychiatric drugs and mass shootings is kind of insane. Have you found anything that shows like the data on?
That's pretty wild.
I'm finding actually people saying that there's no link, no proof. There's a paper that
Of
says
course.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to find.
So that
other
time
sources.
that's Central Time, right?
It's 12:19 right now.
Okay,
so-
why do they talk about time for a second? You have to understand, it's the tool. He's reinforcing the idea that it's the tool, it's not the actual, it's the person holding the tool, not the tool itself. He keeps on reinforcing this exact same point. JD Vance brings up a very interesting point. It's mostly gang violence. Well, that's interesting. Why don't we just arrest the gang members? Because if you arrest the gang members, then the impetus to take the guns from everybody else goes away. Isn't that weird? You think it's odd that they're just letting people out and not arresting people anymore? Just want to, not charging them after being arrested, multiple felonies, all that kind of stuff. Let's keep going before I get in trouble.
We probably got like 15, 20 more minutes
Okay.
because I have to do this event with Tulsi in Pennsylvania. So,
Yeah.
when is this going to air? By the way, oh, sorry.
Tomorrow?
It'll air tomorrow. Great.
Or today?
Okay.
Today?
Right, yeah.
Tonight.
Okay, fantastic.
We'll air it tonight.
Anyway, so yeah,
What are you doing with Tulsi?
we're doing Veterans Town Hall, as a matter of fact, at, I think we're doing it in Western PA, but I need to check. I never know where I'm going from day to day, but yeah, she obviously cares a lot about veterans issues. And, the most important veterans issue is, the mental health thing really matters, but it's that we shouldn't be sending them to stupid wars.
Well, that was one of the most
really good
insane
thing.
things that Hillary Clinton did when she tried to say that she was a Russian agent.
All right. So enough of that. Let's go back here for a second. Guys, what we're witnessing, and this is the main point of this, what we're witnessing is a paradigm shift in the gun control versus gun rights argument. The people who are in the middle are looking at the arguments from the left that are mostly based on emotion and hyperbolic, don't have anything to stand on other than that emotion and hyperbole. They don't have anything other than we just want the guns gone, so we're going to scream it until we get our way. We aren't going to use any type of data. We aren't going to use any type of this, any type of that, any type of reason or logic. We're just going to scream, it's the guns, it's the guns, it's the effing guns. Joe Rogan is one of the leaders of the mainline independent think for yourself movement in this country. He speaks mostly to young men. You have to understand the importance, the massive importance for J.D. Vance to go here and not only have the conversation with him, but reaffirm that most of the things that they're trying to take your gun rights with, most of the data points, are lies. Not only the fact that they're not ever going to be able to take 400 million guns from Americans because A, that's a lot of organization. B, you're not going to get anybody to do it because they're going to know the outcome. And then C, please see B again. This was an incredible conversation, and I didn't see a lot of people covering it, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. See you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.